I'm Prakash Bista, and I'm currently a junior at Soka University of America in California, USA. Today, I want to talk about my life story to share with you the lessons that I have learned in my life. I was born in one of the most remote villages in Nepal in the foothills of Himalayas. My day would start out climbing uphill for 30 minutes to fetch fresh water, then going into the jungle to collect firewood to bring back for cooking and heat, and then cutting grass for our buffalo in the land near our house. On top of these, I was a spoiled kid. I used to smoke cigarette when I was 6 years old and roll rocks down the people on the hill. My life took a turn when I was 8 years old. I was able to travel with my dad and some neighbors to buy household items in the nearest town, a 4-day journey each way on foot. I was mesmerized being in a city with real streets, vehicles, and electricity. But what really captured my attention was seeing school children my own age, dressed in uniforms, carrying book bags, then being picked up by a school bus. In that moment, my life shifted because I realized I wanted to be one of those students and told my father that I wanted to go to a school. My parents discussed for a month and finally enrolled me in a boarding school in my district 20 miles away. Going to school changed me on many levels. I learned about morals, social values, and having a passion for learning so I could become a contributive person in society. On top of that, my thirst for learning was stimulated. And for the next 5 years, I was the top student in my school. However, when I was in the 6th grade, the Civil War reached its peak. The school I was attending shut down when some communist insurgents threatened to bomb it down and planted a huge bomb nearby. So I returned home. When I got there, my home was already destroyed by the government forces as the communist guerrilla had made our property their office without our consent. I'll never forget when 2 people were killed right in front of me. On top of that, I was shocked to see a lot of my childhood friends join the guerrilla army. I was also approached many times by the local guerrilla leaders to join the insurgency army. My own uncle and cousin, both high-ranking commanders who were later killed in the war, also tried to persuade me to join the war. However, my education made me believe that war was not the solution. I didn't believe that killing people would bring peace and make the society better. So I told my father I wanted to study further. Fortunately, because of my grades, the principal of my school was able to help me get a full scholarship to a high school in the capital of Kathmandu. There, I was safe. I was among the students from all over Nepal. During my 5 years of studies, I went home only once. But the good thing was, I was able to continue my education until the 10th grade, receiving full tuition scholarship for being top in my class each year. My father was so excited for me when I told him that I wanted to try for a scholarship to study in America after my senior high school. My joy, however, was short-lived as my dad's spine was crushed by a falling boulder. Then my dad became paralyzed and passed away in 3 months. Around the same time, my mother was diagnosed with rheumatic heart disease, which was at the incurable stage. She took her last breath with her head on my shoulder. Having lost both of my parents in such a short time, my heart felt broken. Coupled with having missed 9 months of his school already, I decided to return to my home village permanently. With these heartaches, I realized that none of us knows when we will die. Thus, I felt that I had to make a difference right then to keep up the hopes of my parents and villagers. At that time, fortunately, the Civil War had just ended and the things were still in chaos. I brainstormed a lot of ideas how I could contribute back to my society. After a lot of self-reflection, I realized how education had changed me, created hope in me despite war and all the difficulties I had in my life. Then I concluded that education is the way forward for development, opportunities, and peace. So at first, I taught at some public schools for a while, but I was largely dissatisfied because of political interference, complex bureaucracy, management issues, and structured corruption. I realized that the situation was out of my control. So I started thinking about alternatives. Finally, I decided to start our village's first service-oriented nonprofit elementary school on the very site where our house was bombed down during Civil War. I named it Modern Model Residential School. Starting an independent school in my remote village was a tough decision in my life. Our district Kalikod is 73rd in Human Development Index out of 75 districts in Nepal, better than just 2 other districts. According to Central Bureau of Statistics District Profile 2008 data, overall literacy rate is 38.47%. Per capita income is $83 a year, and life expectancy is 42 years in Kalikod district. On top of these hardships, I was young, just 19 years old, and I had no financial resources to start a school except the hope that villagers would support to build it. I started with 8 students and went door to door to talk to villagers. I told them that we needed to start a nonprofit school, and I took a big risk to ask for personal loans to build it. Because of their belief in me, they supported wholeheartedly. Villagers sold their lands, their cattle, or even borrowed money with interest to support the school. In a year, we raised $30,000. We then built 2 buildings, chartered helicopters to bring solar panels, computers, printers, television, and satellite dish for the first time in our village. Then one day, interesting thing happened. One of the students told their parents that he saw a lot of snakes on TV at school. The parents came rushing to school with sticks to kill the snakes. We had to show them how TV and computers work, and then decided to screen TV to public on Saturday. This incident helped my village leap into the 21st century. After 2 years, I realized how big the burden of $30,000 was on me. I had signed papers with villagers guaranteeing that I would pay back the loans, but there was times in my life when I didn't even have a rupee. I was just a high school graduate working in a remote village with no signs of earning any money to pay back the loans. To add to my pain, some villagers even started to ask for money, seeing no signs that I would be able to pay back in future. However, deep down in my heart, I was honest, and I was in the right mission, and I was hopeful that I would find a way out one day. Then after 4 years, I received opportunity funding from the US government to apply to American universities. And I also received full scholarship from Soka University of America to pursue my undergraduate studies. The university's principle of peace, human rights, and sanctity of life made me feel that the university was the right place for me to pursue higher education. Luckily, in my first year at Soka, I won $10,000 first prize at the Orange County Social Entrepreneurship Competition 2014, organized by Saddleback College Foundation, and also raised some funds for the school. With these funds, I was able to pay half of the loans of our school. This year, one of the donors of Soka University of America contacted me, donated $10,000 to start the second school in next village, and also pleased to pay back rest of the loans with my first school. So currently we have 2 elementary schools with about 300 students. School management committee comprising the parents of our students runs each school. Now let me explain to you why these schools are so unique in remote villages in countries like Nepal. I'd like to go into just a little detail. Our schools are very low-cost, non-governmental, and service-oriented schools. At our schools, parents who have jobs or secured means of income pay as little as $100 a year for their children's tuition, which includes books, uniforms, and a meal a day. Parents who don't have a means of income volunteer 30 days a year at our school, building school infrastructure. Finally, orphans and those who come from critical family backgrounds get all expenses paid by our school. We partner with organizations, individuals, and impact investors to build and expand this great network of education to create a social impact, changing the lives of thousands of children in remote villages of Nepal. We envision peace, development, and opportunities through innovative nonprofit schools for the poor in rural Nepal. Now my immediate goal is to build 10 sustainable model schools in 2 years, which will admit 10,000 students annually in the long run, providing one of the highest social returns in investment in the world. With all the wonderful people and organizations I have made, I think this will be possible. Thank you so much.
TGELF, leading the change.